Have you ever felt like you're living a double life? Like there's the version of you that everyone sees, the happy, put together, successful one, and then there's the other you, the one that only comes out when you're completely alone. For the longest time, that was my reality. When the doors were closed and the world was shut out, a secret shame I carried would take over. It started small, almost unnoticeable, a tiny whisper in the back of my mind. But soon, that whisper grew into a roar that I couldn't ignore. It's strange how these things begin. Mine didn't start with a big, dramatic event. It was more like a slow burn. It was the little voice that said I wasn't good enough. It was the constant comparison to others. The feeling that I was always falling short. In public, I'd wear a mask of confidence. I'd laugh at parties, excel at work, and be the supportive friend everyone could count on. But the moment I got home, the mask would crack and fall away. Alone, in the silence of my own space, the pressure I put on myself became unbearable. My secret shame was this overwhelming sense of inadequacy, and it manifested in ways I never thought possible. I developed habits, little rituals that I thought were helping me cope, but were actually just digging me deeper into a hole. It might have been endlessly scrolling social media, comparing my life to curated highlight reels. Or maybe it was finding comfort in food, using it not for nourishment but to numb the feelings of loneliness and self-doubt. For others, it could be obsessing over work, believing that perfection was the only path to validation. This cycle was exhausting. I'd wake up every morning, vowing that today would be different. Today, I would be stronger. I would be the person I pretended to be. But as the day wore on, the facade would start to crumble under the weight of my own expectations. By the time I was alone again, I was too tired to fight it. The shame would return, stronger than before, whispering, "See? You failed again." It felt like being trapped in a loop, running a race with no finish line. The isolation was the worst part. I was surrounded by people who cared about me, yet I felt completely and utterly alone because I couldn't bring myself to share the truth. How could I explain this part of me that I was so deeply ashamed of? I was afraid they wouldn't understand. I was terrified they would see me as weak or broken. The turning point for me wasn't a sudden epiphany. It was a gradual realization, a slow dawning that I couldn't continue living this way. I was so tired of the secrecy, so weary of the constant battle inside my own head. One day, I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize the person staring back. The spark in my eyes was gone, replaced by a deep-seated sadness. That was the moment I knew something had to change. I had to find a way to break free. The first step was the hardest, admitting to myself that I had a problem, and that it was okay to not be okay. We live in a world that celebrates strength and resilience, and admitting vulnerability can feel like a personal failure. But I learned that true strength isn't about never falling down. It's about having the courage to get back up. It's about being honest with yourself, even when it's painful. I started by just acknowledging the shame, giving it a name instead of letting it be this formless, terrifying shadow. Then, I did something I had been afraid to do for years. I reached out. I started small, confiding in one trusted friend. My hands were shaking, my voice was trembling, and I could barely get the words out. I was so scared of their judgment. But instead of judgment, I was met with compassion and understanding. My friend didn't have all the answers, but they listened. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel so alone. That single conversation was like a crack of light in a dark room. It didn't solve everything overnight, but it gave me hope. It showed me that connection was the antidote to the isolation my shame thrived on. That small act of bravery gave me the courage to seek professional help. Talking to a therapist was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It provided me with a safe space to unpack all the complicated feelings I had been suppressing for so long. A therapist helped me understand the roots of my shame, the triggers that set off my self-destructive habits, and most importantly, they gave me tools and strategies to build healthier coping mechanisms. It wasn't about erasing the past, but about learning how to move forward from it. We worked on things like self-compassion, which was a foreign concept to me. The idea of being kind to myself, of treating myself with the same empathy I would offer a friend, was revolutionary. The journey wasn't a straight line. There were good days, and there were bad days. There were moments when the old habits tried to creep back in, when the voice of shame would whisper its familiar lies. But this time, something was different. I wasn't fighting it alone anymore. I had a support system. I had new tools. When I felt myself slipping, I could reach out to a friend, practice the mindfulness techniques my therapist taught me, or simply remind myself that recovery is a process, not a destination. It's about progress, not perfection. Slowly but surely, I started to integrate the two versions of myself. The person I was in public and the person I was in private began to merge into one authentic whole. I learned to be vulnerable with the people I loved, sharing my struggles as well as my triumphs. And I discovered something amazing. The more I opened up, the more others opened up to me. So many people are fighting their own secret battles, wearing their own masks. My story gave them permission to be a little more real, too. Today, my life isn't perfect. I still have moments of doubt and insecurity. But the shame no longer controls me. It's not a roaring monster in the dark anymore. It's more like a distant echo. I've learned that my worth isn't defined by my productivity, my social media presence, or what other people think of me. My worth is inherent, and so is yours. If any part of this story resonates with you, if you feel like you're hiding a part of yourself in the shadows, please know that you are not alone. There is absolutely no shame in struggling. Reaching out for help is a sign of incredible strength, not weakness. Whether it's talking to a friend, a family member, or a mental health professional, taking that first step can change everything. Your story doesn't have to be one of secret shame. It can be one of courage, healing, and hope. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If this video helped you in any way, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel for more content about personal growth and mental wellness. Your journey matters, and you deserve to live a life free from shame. Take care.